Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
Gladstone Regional Council are committed to fostering a proud, involved and engaged community. The Gladstone Regional Council Community Investment Program provides financial support to local community initiatives, projects and events which promote community connections, regional enhancements, community celebrations and community education. For more information on the Community Investment Program, visit gladstone.qld.gov.au. Gladstone Regional Council. Connect, innovate, diversify.
I really like the variety because there's a lot of different parts of our region, and particularly in disaster space, I like that we're there for the community in kind of some of their worst times. We're able to assist. My role basically oversees and works with other emergency service agencies in town to assist the community in preparedness and then response and recovery following disaster events. I really enjoy working and living in Gladstone. We have great facilities here. People are really friendly. Council's a really good organisation to work for. Everyone's really committed to the community. I mean, we're all residents. We want to see what's best for the community happening. I do quite a few sports in town, so use a lot of our sporting facilities, as well as involved in the community theatre space, so getting to use the GECC, which we're really lucky to have. I do the community musicals, so we've done, I've been involved in Anything Goes, Legally Blonde, Carrie, and then also do foster caring through GPAWS, which is one of the animal rescue groups. Emma Catlin, Disaster Response Specialist for Gladstone Regional Council.
Well, good morning. The time being 9 a.m, I declare open the general meeting for the Gladstone Regional Council for Tuesday, the 6th of May 2025. We have all councillors present, so we have no apologies. However, we do have a leave of absence. Councillors, on your agenda this morning, there's a leave of absence for myself for the council meetings on the 20th of May 2025 and the 3rd of June 2025. I thought after 25 years in council I might take my first 4-week holiday, and I'm taking the family away for the month, and I'll miss those 2 council meetings. So I'd like a mover and a seconder that they be approved. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Councillor Cameron and Councillor Holzheimer. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you, councillors. Do we have any messages of condolence this morning? No messages of condolence. The next item is prior notifications of conflicts of interest. Tanya?
No prior notifications.
Fantastic. Then we move straight to the Mayor's statement on current issues, and obviously we had Easter in Gladstone and our Brisbane to Gladstone yacht race, and I want to thank all councillors for being involved in that amazing event we host here every year, our Easter in Gladstone, which involves so many parties, and obviously headed up by our team with Jaden and Kylie and the team at the Entertainment Convention Centre, supported by everybody who's involved, from the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club to the Port Curtis Sailing Club to the Harbour Festival Committee to the Brisbane to Gladstone Village, and everybody all around, and all the extra events that happen as well, whether it's Speedway, whether it's at the races, whether it's the Orchid and Foliage Show. There's something for everyone in Gladstone at Easter time. So well done to all the volunteers. There are so many volunteers, especially around the Harbour Festival, who have run that festival for many, many years. It's just a great time to be in Gladstone, and I want to thank everybody for their involvement and look forward to next year. And the Easter Bunny, of course. Thank you, Glenn. Yes, of course, I know you were very good friends with the Easter Bunny, and we always thank him for bringing those eggs. It's a great time of the year. I've still got my Easter eggs at home I need to get into. Anzac Day, of course, across the region as well. Thank you, councillors, for attending those events. And I think we had a couple of staff members attend some events as well, because there is way more events than there is councillors. And I know that many of you attend at more than one too. So thank you for attending those very important Anzac Day events. We had our Yarwun Community Forum. And of course, just last night, we wrapped up the Boyne-Tanham hookup after a fantastic weekend in Boyne Island, Tanham Sands. And I want to thank Karen and Chris Windrus and their entire team of volunteers as well, and everybody who's been involved in the Boyne-Tanham hookup for the last 30 years, celebrating 30 years this year. And the committee are stepping down, and as I said last night on stage, it's time for someone in the crowd to put their hand up and be the leader for the next committee for the Boyne-Tanham hookup. So I know they'll continue to have council support, they'll continue to have industry support and community support, but we're looking for a new committee to take over after 30 years of volunteers amongst those who have been on the committee. Up and coming in the Gladstone region, tomorrow we have the Domestic and Family Violence Remembrance Day service at Friend Park in Barney Point. This Thursday is the Community Forum in Calliope from 5 to 7 p.m. at Don Cameron Drive in our Library Community Centre there. This Saturday, the 10th of May, is the McCosker Gladstone Speedway. And this Sunday, of course, Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mums across the Gladstone region. We have the Mother's Day Classic at Tanham Sands as a 4-kilometre and 8-kilometre event, and you can still register online via the Mother's Day Classic Tanham Sands website. Next Tuesday, on the 13th of May, is the Gladstone Careers Expo at the Gladstone Entertainment Convention Centre from 8:30 to 3 p.m. And then the 17th of May, of course, we have the GLNG Santos GLNG Mayor's Charity Ball. And our beneficiaries again this year, 3 local charities: Communities of Gladstone Supporting Youth, Tanham Sands Surf Lifesaving, and the amazing team at Zonta Club of Gladstone. 17th and to the 18th of May is also the Ambrose Reloaded Trail Ride, and the 23rd to the 25th of May is, of course, our 1770 Festival. And another event, councillors, this weekend, I believe it's the Do It for Dolly fundraiser. It's a cruise on the 10th of May. It's $20 per vehicle and starts at the Gladstone Marina stage, and all cars and bikes are welcome to enter that fundraiser as well. That's the Mayor's statement on current issues. I'll now move to G2.1, which is a confirmation of the general meeting minutes for the 15th of April. Mover. Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Councillor McClintock. Any business arising? Put the motion all in favour, and it's carried. We have no deputations this morning, so we'll move straight into our officers' reports. And G4.1 is an amendment to the cemetery and crematorium policy allowing burial reservations. And I'll hand over to the General Manager of Finance, Governance and Risk, Mark Holmes. Welcome, Mark.
Morning, Mayor. Morning, councillors. This item today is for you to consider a change to our cemeteries and crematorium policy. As you'll be aware, our current policy that has recently been adopted does not allow for reservations, and we've heard some feedback with respect to that, and we've heard that council wants to reconsider that position. The current policy was essentially built and based on our asset growth plans and worked from that. We have proposed a policy position here where you could potentially allow a close family member to be interred in the adjacent plot as a proposed alternate position to your current policy. But it really is over to councillors to discuss what is your proposed position on this.
Thank you. Questions to Mark, please. Councillor Wagner.
Yes, thanks, Mark, and yeah, thanks for bringing this to us after the discussions we've all had, and it really did need addressing. Can you just tell me in layman's terms, this does allow someone to reserve a plot and next to another plot? Yep.
Yes.
And there's also, I see there's also rights to relinquish and that sort of thing as well. In terms of over time, we've had some issues in the past with identifying people who have reserved plots and what have you in the past. And I see that our record keeping will support this move. Can I just get an idea of, if we do have trouble tracking down someone who has reserved a plot and, you know, over time they may have moved or what have you, what sort of things could we put in place to make sure we do really try to track them down?
It really is obviously the case-by-case basis, but we've got a record of interment and work through those. So we've got those, and it's probably, if we don't have record of a reservation, there is only the handful that we are aware of. In those places where we have stopped, we can work through those if anything comes to light.
Yeah, okay.
So we practically follow that through and do every step we would in terms of searching through our cemetery records and obviously our customer system as well.
No worries. And I did see in the policy, and I'm just trying to find it, there's a subscript number 1 at one point that refers to a footnote, and I can't find the footnote. Can you just clarify that one for me? I'm just, sorry, trying to work out where it is, but it's, did you see it, Councillor McClintock? It is.
It's there, page 3.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. My
That's the
apologies.
definition.
Okay, thank you. That's my only questions, and thanks for making those amendments and providing it to us. I support it and would like to move it.
Thank you. I have some other questions, but I'll get a seconder now if I can, please. Thank you, Councillor. Both, okay, Holzheimer, and then Councillor McClintock had a question.
Thank you. That footnote stood out because it's next to the word one and has a little one next to it, and I thought that's a weird way of writing that, and then realised it was a footnote. I think this is really great. I just wanted to say thank you to all those involved in trying to figure out how to best articulate some of the conversations we've been having and put something into a policy that really does create clarity around what this looks like and doesn't look like. It's a really good policy. I had a similar probably question and maybe just a further point of clarification on something that was risen around those conversations, which is that close-out procedure. How do we make sure that we've got a really clear picture from the start for our those who are reserving, whether it's some kind of simple contract or something that is a repeatable process each year. I don't know, it comes with the rates. I don't really mind what it looks like and not really getting into the weeds of that. But I just want to really emphasise how important it is that we set that up, because I don't want us to get to a point where somebody hasn't talked to us for 4 or 5 years and they turn up to their plot and someone else is in it. So we need to make sure that we've got a really clear process from the start so that we're not setting people up for further trauma down the line.
Councillor McClintock, we've proposed a commencement date from 1 July to allow the business the time to establish appropriate terms and conditions, processes and procedures, so it is a smooth process for everyone. And we absolutely will have measures in place to prevent that from happening, but at some point it's also on the customer to keep council informed of their address changes and things like that. So it'll be a two-way street.
Yeah, as usual. Thank you very much. No, just wanting to make that point out of the back end of it, but mostly to say thank you and look forward to seeing how that's articulated and how that all comes about. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Holzheimer.
Also support the motion, this paper. I think the the work that we do in community is all about people, and lots of people actually reached out to raise these concerns, and providing flexibility based on, specific religious requirements or even personal choice is something that's really important, and I want people to know that we actually heard that. My question is about the reservations. Is it okay? So this is how I'm trying to make sense of it in my mind. If I'm planning for my funeral, I reserve at that point and then I can reserve for my family member next to me, or is the reservation only occurring at the time of death and then so I pass and then my partner can or my child can be reserved next to me? So how exactly does that reservation occur, to clarify that as well?
It's the latter, Councillor Holzheimer, so it's only on a person's death, on an interment, that you're allowed to reserve a plot.
Not prior to?
Yes, that's correct.
Beautiful, thank you.
Okay, before we put that, I just guess when it goes through the operational phase, my question would have been then at the time about, is there an annual fee?
We propose to outwork that through our budget discussions,
Yeah.
Mayor.
I don't particularly want there to be, because I don't want to remind the people, but I also think there needs to be something, otherwise that could get lost situation might happen. So I don't know, I'll let you work that out. But I think this is a great policy and I'm happy to support it as well, but we need to do the outworkings to make sure that exactly what I think most councillors were saying there is that it doesn't get held and not used at some point. All right. Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? All right, I have a mover in Councillor Wagner, second, and Councillor Holzheimer. All in favour? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll move to the next item, which is G4.2. Back to you, Mark. Statutory delegations of powers to the Chief Executive Officer, or Acting Chief Executive Officer today.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, as you know, from time to time we do a review and work through a review with King Company with respect to our changes in delegation. So as legislation changes, we've got to make sure that we've got the appropriate delegations in place to make sure that we're out working those obligations that have been conferred upon council. You'll note that there has been some changes over the past 6 months, and they've been included in this paper for you. The most significant changes there are with respect to the Electrical Safety Act there.
Thank you. Councillor Churchill, you're moving? Or you have a question?
I'm happy to move because I see this as an administrative plus, but I'll ask the same question in moving the motion. Is just making sure that the delegation register, and I ask it every time, and because change just seems to be the only constant that occurs here, I just want to make sure that the delegation register is readily available upon request for people to understand the principle of the delegations.
Yes, Councillor Churchill, our delegations register is available for inspection by the community.
Lovely. I'm pleased to hear that. Thank you. Happy to move.
Yeah, thank you. Seconded, Deputy Mayor. I'd like everyone just to go through and read those in the community, the ones that we've just done today, all many pages of them around public records, security of critical infrastructure, very expected.
Well, that's the intent of my question right from the beginning, and I know that I sound like a broken record, but the day that we lose the opportunity to understand the principle of the delegation, especially people within our region, is the day we've lost the foundation of trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Here. Okay, any further questions, councillors? No? Very simple one. Move Councillor Churchill, second Councillor Muscat. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. We'll now move to G4.3, which is tender RPQS 73-25 training services. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor, and joined today by the Manager of Contracts, Kiara Henderson. We've got for you the RPQS for our training services that was deferred from the previous meeting to give councillors the opportunity to have a look at that. We have gone through and had a look at the paper and still of the view and worked through with our training team that it is to look to appoint those 64 service providers to support the provision of our training services over the next 5 years. There is a significant amount of those training providers that are local businesses, and by working through an RPQS process, is essentially the most efficient form of engagement by both the business and by essentially the supplier to ensure that we provide that continuity of service. So happy to take questions with respect to this report, and I'm sure Kiara will be able to support as well.
Thank you. We've got a few councillors. Councillor Cameron, and I'll line them up. Keep going. You're first.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Understand the process, and it's going to save a lot of time. I noticed that one of the areas that you didn't look at is that you have only just assessed them on their expertise and their abilities as a provider, but the value was not there, is what they're charging for their service. So considering that these are all now pre-approved, clearly there's, if you've got a training, say, pick something, whatever it might be, there's going to be several providers that can provide that service. How do you go through that process then? So say there's 6 service providers that can provide that particular service to what you want training for. How do you appoint that? And would you consider that all these provisions would be inside the $15,000 threshold?
I'm happy to let Kiara take it. I'm happy to take it, but I'll let Kiara.
I can talk to that.
Yeah,
So
go.
we have a procurement policy in place, and we have forward standard around our thresholds, and within the thresholds we actually have around the requirements based on a panel arrangement and what is required in regards to request for quotations within those limits. So anything up to $25,000 on a panel arrangement only requires 1 quotation, versus if it's under non-preferred, it's anything under 15,000. But again, above 25k, it's the 3 quotation process kicks in, and obviously you can then attest value for money.
Okay, so what you would do is basically let a tender out to the applicable organisations there. There might be only 4, might be 2.
Correct.
Could only be 1. So what we're saying, in this particular situation where they're already pre-approved, the limit goes out to 25k, is that right?
Correct. So
Okay.
basically, again, anything up to 25k under a panel arrangement only requires 1 quotation. Anything above 25k requires the 1 or more. So it does go through quite a robust process, and again, it's based on value for money, but also there are certain things within the training team where they full well know that there are certain suppliers that will be able to provide those quotations in return. So sometimes, even if it is under 25k, they will actually go out and get multiple quotes.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for that, and I'm happy to move that, Mr Mayor.
Sorry, I've got a seconder over here, and Councillor Churchill. And well, yeah, you can jump into the queue.
Yeah, but may not because it might be asked.
Yeah, Councillor Holzheimer.
Okay. I know that there are some local providers on the list. However, there's also quite a few that are outside of the region. We're doing a lot of work in regards to our supporting small business and the importance of actually building the Gladstone region. What work are we doing in this space to grow our local providers so that they are in the future able to deliver some of these services? For example, did we have conversations with anyone to go, okay, cool, if we want to purchase this amount of training for this amount of staff, can you actually onboard or provide that over a 5-year period to us as well, rather than just going, here, this is what we think we might need in the future? So that's one part of my question. The other part is around, and it might not be suitable for today's discussion, what are we hoping to achieve within the staff and the workforce through this investment in the 5-year commitment to that training? Because I understand there is importance in upskilling staff, supporting them to develop. So what would a community member see different? And then what are we actually planning on or hoping is the outcome from this investment in our pool of staff as well? So that might be a future dated discussion to come back. However, the first part, please.
So for the first part, there's a lot of maturity that still needs to go within council, especially around, obviously, the small business piece, which I'm working very closely with the economics development team, and a number of actions are being taken in regards to making sure that the small businesses are at the heart, as well as local regional suppliers are at the heart of everything that we do. One of the key things, though, over the last 12 months is we actually haven't had the data. So in regards to the data for the training providers, what we've actually been able to pull out as part of this tendering exercise is under the existing training services, 76% of our spend was actually put into our local regional businesses for GRC. And out of that, there was just over 610 engagements raised as part of that. So that's giving us confidence that we're already doing our part for council and our part for small businesses and our part for also local businesses here at council. So hopefully that will answer your part one of the question. Part two is a bit more strategic. I'll let that over to Mark.
Yeah. So certainly we can bring back a report on what I guess in terms of outworking our people strategy, what the training essentially panel, how that supports that. Yeah, but certainly there's mandatory training that we need to do to ensure that our people are working safely, that our people are working and both having and retaining our appropriate qualifications, and also there's obviously development pieces that are identified along the line as well. So this is essentially mainly a mandatory training piece, but there is some elements of some of those non-mandatory pieces and desirable pieces, and that's some items of training that are both identified within budget, and that budget then supports the outworking of our development plans for particular staff as well. But all of this training happens within the approved budget and in alignment with our people strategy.
Excellent. I'd just love some more information
Absolutely.
at a future date to understand where we're hoping this gets us within as an organisation. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor McClintock. Then Patrick and Wagner.
Thank you. Thank you, Kiara. Thank you for the work that's gone into this and your team. I know there's been a lot of energy and effort poured into this. I also am... The conversations that we've had is around, particularly around supporting small businesses, and I know a big part of why we're trying to do this is to simplify that process and to try and make that happen. I am concerned, though, you spoke then of around 75% local spend up to date prior to this process that we're now changing to. Couple of red flags is that we're introducing a lot of out-of-region suppliers to a very simple list to be a part of, basically opening the door to that out-of-region more fluently than what it has been in the past. That's probably just a little concern from something that was just mentioned there, but my other part to it is that we know that small businesses aren't necessarily known for their longevity, and it's important contracts like these sorts of things that actually help sustain them and make them sustainable into the future. And it's a big part of the role that we play as local government is investing in our local suppliers. Having a total of 5 years for the contract with another further 2 years, 20% of small businesses are gone in the first year, 40% in the second and 60% in the third. We're saying that 2/3 of the local businesses, small businesses in 3 years' time will never get a chance to actually be a part of that process if we don't revisit this. So my question is, why is this so long, and what is the, can we reduce that? Because it looks like we're giving away a lot of the ability to engage those ongoing, or is there processes in place to get them in 2 months' time or 6 months' time when they start?
Commitment, obviously, for this training services panel is there are a couple that unfortunately didn't get the emails, etc., to go with it. So as part of our team commitment, we are going to do a refresher for the training services at 6 months and then 12 months thereafter. So the ability for vendors to still continue to come onto that panel will obviously come as part of that refresh. And that's one thing I've definitely heard as part of the Supply Chain Expo and the Small Business Conference last week, is the ability for those refreshes to occur, which we are definitely looking at now. So as part of this training, we've actually got there as part of a commitment, 6 months upon sign-off, and then 12 months thereafter as part of the refreshes. So whilst it might be for 5 years, they still have the ability to come on every 12 months.
Brilliant. That does answer my question. Thank you very much.
And
Thanks.
certainly if there's a supplier that comes on that's got a value proposition that we don't have currently, there's nothing stopping us from engaging with that supplier. This is just an avenue of engagement.
Great. Thank you very much.
Councillor Patrick.
Just further on from Councillor McClintock and Councillor Holzheimer as well, how did we arrive at the point of 5 years?
Table.
Table.
And I suppose I'm asking this question because a term of this boardroom is for 4 years. We are already 1 year into it. And we don't know what will happen or who will be elected or what the board table will look like. So I'm just curious to know, why is it 5 years and not 3 years?
I guess the decision was made. We did have a 3-year RPQS in place, and we looked at it as the amount of work involved in not just from our business but also from the suppliers. We were asking a lot of them to fill in that paperwork all of the time. So for us, we decided to try this one as a 5-year, just to reduce the workload on everybody, and we also knew that we had that refresher involved as well. So we felt like if we did the bulk of the work up front and then we continued to have those refreshers where businesses could be added to our list, then it would be beneficial for everybody in a time factor.
Thank you. That's great. How do we see that we will communicate that effectively to our small business communities as well with the 6-month and 12-month refresh? That's probably something that I have a lot of feedback saying, how can we deal with procurement? How can we deal with council? I'm sending those things through those questions to you guys all of the time. So I'm just wondering, if we're setting it for 5 years and we have a refresh after 6 or 12 months, how are we going to communicate that to small business? Is that something that we are looking at? How is that being communicated?
Yeah, so strategically over the next 12 months we're looking to do supplier engagement events, not only for small business but local businesses but other businesses including First Nations, etc., around doing business for GRC. And essentially as part of those sessions, what we're also going to be doing is again communicating it on the socials, the same as what we did last week, and also as part of our current tendering processes we also do communicate on socials in regards to tendering opportunities and panel opportunities. So A, it's just getting the data, B, it's just making sure that we actually set up these events for success, and C, it's just actually getting out there and actually talking to stakeholders about this and actually getting GRC known and how they can actually register for business with us.
And another question I've just thought of is nothing's ever stagnant, and we're always looking at, I suppose my concern is the new training as well. We may need and require new training that's not even being able to provide it on these things. So again, that would be reviewed at that 6-12 month refresh time?
Yes, it has to be.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wagner.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple of things, I suppose, following on from the other councillors. I just wonder why we have such an extensive list for something that should be able to be dealt with in terms of each management unit knows what the policy is. And I find it a bit, I don't know if I can use the word anti-competitive, but I'm going to. Again, even though we're going to review it, if there's a specific skill and you know there's a organisation that has that skill and they're not on the list, I don't know why we wouldn't be asking them for a quote.
You can still do that. This is just, as I said before, this is just an avenue of engagement, an RPQS. If there's a training requirement that comes up that's outside the scope of or the ability of any of our training providers, then absolutely we can go to a provider that's not on the list and get a quote for their services.
Yeah, I just wonder whether there'll be that sort of incentive to go off the list, and I've seen it before where at the moment there's, for instance, more than one first aid provider on that list, just as an example. And it's easy then to fall in the trap of using the same provider all the time, even though we've put someone through this process to add them to the list, and then if we don't use them, it's almost like a kick in the teeth. So I just want to know, like, I'm not seeing any real benefit of it. So can you explain to me what the benefit is? Sorry.
Yeah. So again, over the last 3 years of our existing training services panel, we have engaged over 685 engagements, and out of that 685 engagements, 610 of those engagements was actually with one of our local regional businesses. So essentially, if we do not have this RPQS in place, we are basically putting all that paperwork back onto those providers each and every time that we want to put a purchase order in place. So that means that they have to pick up the phone, they have to pick up an email every single time to basically provide the learning and development team a quotation, a formal quotation, whether that's written or verbal, essentially back to the team. So it's actually putting a lot of admin overhead on our businesses who are currently at capacity versus obviously if we have a panel in place, essentially the learning and development team can essentially utilise the existing rates that they have on the scheduler rates, and they just raise a purchase order. It goes through to the supplier, and then they essentially do that engagement that way. So it's saving a lot of admin overhead on our suppliers.
So if it's under 25,000, we're doing one quote, and you've got the rates they're going to charge for, say, first aid. On there, so obviously you'd make that decision based on that. But what about if it is a little bit different and quirky? The rates that you would have negotiated would have been for specific services. If these providers and it's a little bit different, how are you going to manage that? Would we go out to more than one quote?
I'm just trying to utilise that as an example.
Sorry.
Yeah, so again, the 25,000 we're talking about is on panel. If we don't have a panel in place, it's only up to 15,000. So anything under 15,000 would require, again, just that one quotation. But in regards to over 25...
Oh, no, sorry, up to 25, I said. But, yeah, if we've got the rates for specific services, fine, I see it there. But when it is something that's a little bit different, I am a bit concerned that if the policy is for training, and if it's 3 people, like if you're doing 100 people, it doesn't take much to go over 25,000. But if you're training 3 people, then there's every chance it's going to be a lower rate. We're just going to one. We're not using our, I suppose, due diligence in getting more than one quote and finding out which one not only provides the service, but what's the best, I suppose, for council in terms of expenditure. So I suppose for me, I'm probably stuck on the $25,000 because it's still subjective to what training you're actually doing. And I would like to see us be diligent in the way that we, I suppose, in our expenditure and considering what we're spending. Because if it's one person and we're doing a training program, then...
And I think that's probably more part of the strategy piece in terms of what are we training, how are we investing our training budget and getting that signed off. There's still, as part of this process though, people will need essentially lodge schedule rates and have lodged schedule rates for particular services. If it is outside of that scope, then we would obviously need to go to market and actually ask for a quote with that. The piece, if we don't have an RPQS though, is that every time we go back to that supplier, I can get a different rate, depending on whatever the market's feeling like today. So that
could be a good thing though, couldn't it be?
It could be, or it could be, or yeah, but this is provides certainty for both parties.
Okay. I suppose for me, I'm just concerned that by tying us into these sort of rates, I mean, there are benefits and there's some potentially negative outcomes. And I did see some of the particular businesses on the list, and ones in Victoria, for instance. It's obviously for probably higher level training, I'm thinking. I like the idea that we're going to review it in 3 and 6 months, but I'd like to see if someone does come along and want to be added to that list, I'd like to see that being processed when they want it, that's all.
So RPQSs probably do need to come to council though, so that we are, and so there will be a so we have a structured way, as I said. If there are new suppliers that do come on board, we can engage them essentially during that timing again.
Okay.
So it is, so that we're not, this doesn't preclude them from essentially having access to council business.
Okay, no worries, thank you.
Councillor Muscat.
Thank you. I just wanted to turn this a little bit around and make it, I think it's a very positive move. I think it's a great use of the flexibility we have within the Act. I think it's, I understand that sometimes, somebody might come in new, but I mean, you've already said it, and it's very well explained in the paper that any new businesses can come in. There's also a list of obviously a number of businesses that are not from here, but I don't see what the problem is there. Gladstone doesn't have every single training package that exists that is relevant to our business, and some of these training providers also provide very specific targeted services that probably there isn't that many more in the country that provide these. So I 100% support local businesses, and engaging other people doesn't mean that we don't support local businesses. If training organisations don't provide the training that we need because they just don't, well, we can't buy it off them. So that's pretty simple to me. I guess if anyone is interested in developing the training packages or the offerings, they can have a look at the things that we do. This is publicly available. What is it that they might think that they might be able to sell to council? Getting that balance between what's administratively effective and not, it's not just for us, it's also for them. So when you talk about them having to do a quote all the time, or even the delays that we experience a lot of the times from raising purchase orders to paying them, that's also something that is very beneficial for them. If we have to every time raise a purchase, start the whole process again from, they will take longer to pay. So I think this is a great balance, and as some of the things are beneficial for us, they're also for them. They like to see us as local businesses. I will also like to see continuation, and knowing that I don't have to go into a process that takes me back into putting all this paperwork together every time I have to make an offer to council. So I'm more than happy to support it, and hopefully we can get more businesses engaged in training services, but we can't force people to deliver or offer something just because we need it. So that's kind of how the economy works. So thank you. I'm more than happy to support this motion.
Thank you, and councillors have probably helped answer some of my questions I had as well, but so I just want to go back. First question, so if you're on the, and the second one's the answer that will help me decide whether I support it or not, but the first one is, so if you're on this list, at what point can you amend your rates? How does that work?
Every 12 months.
So you can amend them every 12?
Correct. But at the moment, it's generally locked into CPI.
Okay, so locked into CPI, but if they want to, like if they're on the list, I'll just say, I'll pick Guinea because they're a local one, and they're not getting a Guernsey for anything, then they go, we mustn't be cheaper than someone else on the list, so they want to drop their prices to get on the list.
They can.
So they've got to do that in 12 months' time.
Correct, yeah.
But I thought there was going to be a refresh every 6 months, so...
So no refresh after this one. Obviously, once the contract is signed off, it's a refresh at 6 months, and then after that, it's 12 months there after that. Because the only thing is obviously we've heard a lot of feedback in regards to a couple of suppliers were unable to get onto, obviously, as part of this tender, and that's the reason why we're doing a refresh at 6 months.
Gotcha, perfect. So in 6 months' time, there's a review. Someone who's not on the list can apply to be on the list, and then that's a report's come back to council to be added to the RPQS, and we can make a decision at that point. Okay, you brought me on the journey. Thanks. Took a little while, but we got there. Any further questions, councillors? Yes, please. Thank you, Councillor Davis.
Thank you. So if the suppliers aren't on the list, so we don't advertise the tender at all to allow anyone else to tender. Is that correct? As well, so it is only the list that we will be going off, so we don't advertise the tender, we just supply from the list.
No, we'll certainly advertise it on LinkedIn and Facebook in regards to the tender refresh for the training services panel.
Yep.
But ultimately, during the 6 months, if there is a need or an engagement for those existing suppliers that were unable to obviously get onto this current panel, that we can obviously engage them as non-preferred.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. Move Councillor Cameron, second Councillor Churchill. That's correct. No further questions or comments. I put the motion all in favour. Carried, thank you. Thanks, team.
Thank you.
Okay, G 4.4, which is Code of Conduct Policy, and I'll hand back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. As part of our schedule review, we're working through our policies, and at the moment we've got down to our Code of Conduct Policy. And what we're looking at this point is reviewing that and just making sure that we're taking into account some significant changes that have happened in the legislative frameworks since we adopted that in 2019. Probably the most significant of pieces of that is probably the updating the Human Rights Act obligations that have occurred since that point in time. And we've just updated some of the terminology just to make it clearer for our people, particularly with respect to adding in and around our people and volunteers.
Thank you. It's fairly straightforward. Move Councillor Wagner, second. Oh, sorry. Question.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. I'm just wondering. I don't know if you can add it later on or whatever, but I'd really like reference to psychological safety in the safety part of it.
We have that, but over you, Tanya, sorry.
We do have other policies that refer to psychological safety, and we certainly can incorporate it, but we would be proposing that we do that as part of a comprehensive review when we refresh our corporate plan, so that it aligns very clearly with Council's strategic goals.
Excellent. No, thank you. That'd be great.
Thank you. Councillor Patrick, question?
No, I'm happy to move it.
Okay, move Councillor Patrick. I'll get a seconder before I go to Councillor Davis, and then Councillor McClintock, a question.
Mine was just a little bit of a systematic question. I just mentioned there in the background that this is considered a high-risk policy that hasn't been reviewed since 2019. I just wanted to, do we have a bit of a strategy on how we're addressing these, or I just got a bit scared when I saw how long a high-risk policy had been sitting there, and we've been doing some other policies that are really low risk in many regards. Are we doing them in a specific order, or are we kind of just working our way alphabetically through it?
We are, Councillor McClintock.
Yeah,
so
great.
This year, Council supported our strategy to review, do a comprehensive review of our policies and corporate standards. Our target is to have all high-risk policies review up to date by the 30th of June, and we're well on track to do that. This is a high-risk policy because it's a statutory policy, so we include all statutory policies in that high-risk rating. But the Code of Conduct is something that's used every week here in Council, so we're very much keeping an eye on that, even though it hasn't had a comprehensive review.
Brilliant. That was going to be my next question, is how many more high-risk ones are we, and are we going to get through them in time? But thank you.
We will be through them in time,
great.
yes.
Yeah. So it's probably worth pointing out, whilst it has been reviewed since 2019, as Tanya said, this is one of those policies that we work with, we touch with, and we talk to our people with every day. And the reality is the messages within it and the communication of it, it has been relevant for that time and still remains relevant. So it's not the fact that it's outdated, and it's still current. It's now we've just refreshed it.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Move Councillor Patrick, second Councillor Davis. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. And we'll go to, so it's the Mark show today. G 4.5, repeal of workplace rehabilitation and return to work policy. Mark Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of those other policies we've looked at through our review process is the workplace rehabilitation and return to work policy. It is essentially work that is now covered within our essentially a similar corporate standard. So we've got out that our rehabilitation return to work corporate standard, and essentially our obligations and how we outwork and support our employees through that process is articulated within there. there's no statutory reason for you to have this policy, or so at this point in time, it is our recommendation that you essentially repeal this policy.
Thanks, Mark. Makes sense. Councillors, Councillor Churchill, we happy move?
Yeah, happy to move, provided that legislation is more powerful than the policy, but
Always is.
Which it is.
I make a point of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good point. Seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Wascat. All in favour? And that's carried. Okay. G 4.6, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting, summary 12th of March 2025. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As requested, this is essentially a written report just on our ARIC meeting that we had on the 12th of March, and was certainly our first full meeting we had with our new external members and new external chair. And there was certainly some good discussion there, particularly we had some good discussion on our essentially transformation program and essentially our technological risks with respect to our improvement program. And one of our new members has a very significant focus on cyber security and technological risks. So we had some good insight there. And this report essentially sums up the balance of the discussion across all the papers that were presented to that, and happy to answer individual questions on those or take as read.
Thank you. Councillors who are on that committee have anything to add? No? Deputy Mayor?
No, well, I believe it's our second meeting with the new chair, and it was online, the last one. So, but no, everything's...
This is the first with the first.
The first one, right?
The last one they were observers.
That's right, yeah. That's
chair.
correct, because, yeah, she's been to... This will be the second meeting she's been to, but the first one that she's chaired. And also with the other member...
John Halliday.
John, that's correct. So
a very good one is our chair. John Halliday
Mary.
is our external rep.
So, yeah, hopefully we'll have the next one in person.
Sounds good. Any further additions? Any questions for Mark? Can I have a mover then, please? Thank you, Councillor Patrick and Councillor Holzheimer. All in favour? It's carried. All right, councillors, do we have any councillor reports this morning? No councillor reports? No urgent business, no notice of motion, no confidential items. Declare the meeting closed at 9:48 a.m. Thank you.